Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am Gebo the Shaman, and today we are talking about what is Vedic astrology. I know that a lot of people are confused. Vedic, Western, what's the difference? What is so special about Vedic astrology? And I am here to give you the answer to that, to the best of my ability. And I know I won't be covering everything that is Vedic astrology and like all the different aspects to it and all that, because there's a million things to talk about when it comes to the astrological sciences and things like that. So let me just put my stuff on silence here. And we'll get into it. Alright, so what is Vedic astrology? I said, I won't get into everything that Vedic astrology is because it's such a complex science, but, okay, well, I guess we should begin with what's the difference between Vedic and Western astrology? Well, in Western astrology, it's actually based on an inaccurate calculation. The planets were placed in, the calculation that was originally used to predict the planetary paths, like the paths the planets travel and things like that. That calculation was thrown off by what's called planetary drift. And so, like, each year it would get like 1 degree off, or like every, I don't know, so often it would go 1 degree off. And so maybe it was like every 1,000 years or something like that, or every 100, I'm not sure. But, it's really, so the thing to know about this is that Western astrology is off. If you look at, hold on guys. If you look at the, like, let's say if you look at astronomy and you would ask an astronomer, okay, where is Jupiter? Oh, Jupiter is in Pisces. Okay, so then that's basically the astronomer looking up in the sky and saying, yeah, Jupiter is in the sign of Pisces. Okay? Now, when you look at a person's chart, that might be 24 degrees different. So it might be in Aquarius. So, or like, if you're looking at real-time positions and you look at the here and now chart for Western astrology, you'll see that it's 24 degrees different than it is in the actual sky versus on paper in the calculation or in the astrology app or whatever we're using. So it's very important that we get our calculations correct, because if we're using inaccurate calculations, then there's just no way to be accurate with that. So one thing to know about Western astrology is that the calculations that they use are inaccurate. They are using inaccurate, outdated calculations, which means that any predictions made with Western astrology are going to be inaccurate. Sorry to break it to you, but that's just the truth. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't Western astrologers that haven't adapted their skills to that system, and that's how they kind of do divination and things like that, and like get answers to questions and things like that. If they're familiar with that system, then more power to them. That's great. But I'm just telling you, It is factually incorrect. The calculations are incorrect. But anyway, so Vedic astrology is correct. So if you look at your Vedic, the chart for the here and now, for, whatever day this is, the 23rd of August or whatever. So if you look at the calculations, the diagram, the astrology chart for the Vedic astrology chart for August 23rd, 2022, you take that information and then you go outside and try to find the planets, or you do it through some kind of a astrology app or something like that, or astronomy app. Then you'll find that those placements are going to be much more accurate than the Western placements, because you'll see, okay, Jupiter's in Pisces. Does it say that in this Vedic chart? And it'll show, yep, Jupiter in Pisces. Yep. I'm just using that as an example. I don't exactly know where Jupiter is right now, because transits are not something that I really give a lot of attention to. What you want to do is look at a person's dasha, and we'll get into that more. I want to teach you guys that too. But yeah, so planetary transits, they don't really have a great impact on anything, on anybody's chart. I mean, sure, you'll see like astrologers say, oh, we're having this transit, and so they'll try to make you afraid. Oh, Mercury's retrograde, be very afraid. Well, that might not mean anything, depending on your chart. Are you going through a Mercury dasha? If so, then it might mean something. But if not, then it's good. It might have a small effect, but nothing really to worry about. So anyway, the other thing, so number one, the calculations are different between Vedic and Western, and two, they use different significators of personality. So in Western astrology, they would use the sun sign, okay, as a symbol of your personality. That would be, that they would call that your zodiac sign. However, we are much more than just one sign. We are much more than just one zodiac sign. I mean, we have our moon, which is our meditative mind. We have the sun, which is our external personality. We have our ascendant, which is which is like us on the deepest, most fundamental level. So there's a lot of aspects to this. There's a lot of different things to consider. You can't just say, oh, I'm this sign. No. Sorry. No. That's not how this works. It's because look, you have to take your whole chart into consideration. And what do I tell people every time I do a video, or at least I try to make mention of it, is that you cannot judge one placement by just that placement alone, just that, because who knows, you might have a positive aspect to it somewhere else. You might have something else going on in a different divisional chart or something like that kind of makes things easier, or stuff like that. So then we have, so the calculations are different, and then we have Western versus Vedic, Western astrology uses the sun sign. Vedic astrology uses the ascendant and the moon and the sun sign. So Vedic astrology primarily uses the ascendant as the person's sign. That means they call the ascendant in Vedic astrology the lagna. Why is that? Because the ascendant is the sign that was rising at the horizon at the time of your birth. So this is basically the energies that were most prevalent. These are the energies that are getting grounded into your body. So this where the Earth meets the celestial constellations, that's where the grounding point was for you specifically, and that is very dependent on your time of birth, your exact time of birth, which is why I do birth time rectification. I offer birth time rectification because a lot of people don't know their exact time of birth down to the minute, and it is very important that it is down to the minute, because we need to make sure that you are, so we have the lagna, which is the sign, the ascendant sign, and then we have the specific nakshatra, and then the specific pada of that nakshatra. So if you were born 5 minutes earlier or later, you could have a whole different personality, a whole different take on life. And a lot of people just don't get that. A lot of people say that, well, I was born, like, they don't really care about the time of birth, which it's so important, because that can change your whole chart. So, like I said, and then too, in Western astrology, the sun sign. So if we're going off of your sun sign as your Vedic as your astrological sign, as your zodiac sign, as your horoscope or whatever, then the sun changes every 30 days. That is not an accurate representation of your individual, unique personality at all. Because what you're saying, that everybody born in July is a Cancer, and so that means they're all the same? No. That's false. That doesn't work. The other thing about astrology, the differences between Vedic and Western astrology is super, very superficial, very, surface level. It's just fluff. And so when you go to a Western astrologer, they'll kind of give you these superficial understandings of your chart. When you go to me, I will give you the deepest aspects of your chart. So that's the other thing, is Western astrology is built for Westerners. It's superficial, it's materialistic, it's fluff, it's garbage, honestly. But I mean, that's just my personal take on it. But honestly, it's just superficial. It's so superficial. And unfortunately, I have to, kind of make superficial videos to get attention on YouTube. So that's what I do sometimes. But I try to give you guys the deeper meanings and things like that. But a lot of times people are just kind of bored with that. So because it's less entertaining. So and then too, so we have the calculations are different. The the astrological signs are based on, the sun for Western astrology, and then the ascendant for Vedic astrology. Now, why do we base that on the ascendant? Well, this is where the energy from the cosmos was being grounded into your physical body at the time of birth. That's why we base your astrological sign on the ascendant, because it changes very quickly, and even the nakshatras and the padas, the constellations change very quickly. Why? Because the Earth is spinning, so that changes very quickly. So so then the third thing is that Western astrology is pretty much superficial. They only have, to my understanding, they only have the one chart, and you kind of get this half-assed system where it's, you can have two signs in one house. So you can have Aries and Taurus in the first house. That doesn't make any sense. We use I forget the freaking system that we use in Vedic astrology, but it's like a whole sign house system or an equal house system, something like that. Anyway, it is important for you to have one sign per house. And so this is why people get so confused on when I'm making videos. I'll say, oh, if you have Aries in the second house, that means you're a Pisces ascendant. Well, they might have Aries in the first and second house. But in Vedic astrology, they would have Pisces in the first and Aries in the second. So anyway, so that's another difference. So there's a lot of things that I could talk about. In Western astrology, they don't have divisional charts, which are very important, very extremely important. Because when I'm prescribing somebody a mantra, a ritual that they can do to remedy their situation, to make things better for them, I'm looking at their D9 chart and I'm looking at their birth chart. So the divisional charts are very important. You don't have that in Western astrology, only in Vedic, and it's insane, the accuracy of the divisional charts. In fact, that's what I use to do birth time rectification. I will justify the events happening in your life through your divisional charts. So I'll start with your D1, and if you give me a 2-hour time window, that usually falls within one sign, and then I'll ask you questions about, your siblings, about when you moved homes and things like that, and that narrows that window down. That's looking at the D3 chart, which is siblings, the D4, which is home and moving and things like that. So there's a lot of tools that I use that are at my disposal in Vedic astrology that wouldn't be there if I used Western. So this is why I'm such a huge proponent of of Vedic astrology. So yeah, so yeah, that's pretty much why I use Vedic. And then, let's see, what other differences do we have between Western and Vedic? I guess just kind of, well, another thing I should talk about is the spiritual differences. So Vedic astrology is based in Indian society and Indian culture, and so there's a shamanic component to that. Western astrology, there's a component to Western society being primarily Christian and primarily superficial and focusing on appearance and government and rulership and authority and things like that. Very governmental, like very patriarchal, very just, they wanted a system to rule them. So like they want, the government to rule them, to take care of them and all that. And so that's why the sun is primarily used in Western. There's a clear difference there. Whereas in Vedic, they're a pre-Christian culture. And I hope I'm doing my best to describe this. I don't want to be offensive to my Indian viewers. I know you guys are out there, and I want to do my best to represent your culture and everything to the best of my ability. But yeah, there's a difference there. It's a pre-Christian society in which it was it is a polytheist society. And we have Vishnu, we have Shiva, Brahma, Vishnu, Hanuman, all kinds of different deities and things like that. And so it's really, you see, Christianity screws everything up because they want to, they basically changed the whole understanding from what it originally was in our pre-Christian polytheist societies, which was that you could ask different deities and things like that to help you, and it was really for your own glory. It was trying to become the best human that you could be, trying to become your best and do your best and whatever, and not be this sheepish servant to the monotheist narcissist god. And because what that's all about is, it's just, empires need slaves, empires need servants, they need people to just do the work and do what they're told and not ask questions, just go along with what you're told. And so they use the monotheist god to enslave them mentally. So that's pretty much why I have an issue with Western culture and Western society, Western astrology too. So, and then too, the other thing with Vedic is, like, there's things, they use the 9 directions, which is the 8 directions and the center. is the ninth direction. So, and so that is more in alignment with energetic properties. That's more in alignment with, all this stuff is very hard to explain to, just to make a video about. But, I'm trying, so. And perhaps we'll talk about the direction wheel and everything like that in a different video, but yeah. Basically, Vedic astrology is one of those things that has an unbroken connection into prehistory. It didn't get taken over by Christianity. It didn't get taken over by, Western society and things like that. No, it stood the test of time, which is why I'm so grateful for, for India. I mean, the Indian people, the Indian culture, and stuff like that. They carry their pre-Christian roots still today. I mean, it's amazing, like how much they've stood strong and been able to carry their traditions and their rituals and ceremonies and things like that, and their deities, and even the Vedas, the text that they have, it's really something special. So even though we can't really understand it with our Western minds, why Vedic astrology is so good, trust me guys, it is the astrological system to be using. It is the system to be using. So if you haven't switched over already, I would encourage you to do so. I have my Vedic astrology readings. You can get career reading. You can get relationship readings from me. You can get birth time rectification from me. All kinds of stuff. So yeah, a lot of people aren't exactly sure about their exact time of birth down to the minute. And so if you get the birth time rectification, I will basically ensure your birth time. I will make sure that I get it down to 1 minute, and that is something that not a lot of astrologers do. They'll get it to like a 5 or 10 minute window, but that's not good enough, honestly. It needs to be exact. It needs to be accurate. It needs to be exact. It needs to be precise. So when I do my Vedic birth time rectifications, it's very important to me that it's precise, and so that's why I take so long to do it. It's like it might take me like a month to kind of work on it, but I put a lot of time and energy into it, so you can be sure that I gave it my all. I'm not just going to like give you something, just a random birth time, that wouldn't be right. So I do my best to find your exact birth time down to the minute. And so yeah, that alone is worth it. So then we have the distance energy healing. So using those 9 directions, those and plus the Qigong that I teach, and Reiki and Shamanic practices. That's all stuff that I teach, and so that's what I use for my distance energy healing stuff. So alrighty, and then we have the career coaching and life coaching. So, you know, if you're one of those people who is struggling in life, you don't know what the hell you're doing, what your purpose is, what your passion is, just sitting on the couch eating Doritos all day. That is not a healthy thing to do. So you need to get on your path and purpose. You need to get on your mission. So that's what my career coaching is for, and life coaching is for. I'll basically walk you through step by step how to find your perfect career, how to find your perfect passion and path and purpose in this life. And then we have the ritual magic courses, so you can check those out. Those are very helpful, very healing. And then we have the Qigong courses, so we have Cosmic Qigong up here and the Self-Transformation Challenge down here. So, you know, if you want to take your life to the next level, if you want to really get some energy in you and feel good and amazing and hopped up on some energy, and these practices do amazing things. They've done amazing things for me. They've helped my depression. They've helped, you know, me come to better understandings of astrology and things like that. So yeah, there's a lot of beneficial things to them. Of course, you know, I can't tell you what these things are going to do for you. The Qigong courses, I can't tell you what they're going to do for you. So you need to find that out for yourself. I know what they've done for me. They've been an amazing blessing for me. But for you, I don't know. So you need to do them and find out yourself. Alrighty, so I'm having some massive bundle sales going on right now at gebotheshaman.com. You can go to gebotheshaman.com, check out all my courses, services, products, courses, services, everything that I have to offer is at gebotheshaman.com. And of course, if you are new to the channel, if you have not already, please subscribe. Alright, so subscribe, like the video and all that good stuff. Alright, cool. And yeah, that does it for me. So we will see you next time, guys. Peace. Have a good one.